second graders, it's time for your weekend writing again already. So let's get started. You can see I already made my text box up there. And now remember how I put, when I write the date, I don't know why it's not going in there. Let's see. There we go. The date today is May 18th, 2020. Oops. Or you can remember that I can also write it a different way. I can write 5 and then that thing called a slash, and then an 18, and then the number 20 for the year 2020. Either way is okay. And remember how I put spaces there to make it move way over to the side like it looks in a real letter that I'm writing. So now I'm going to go here. Oops, 20. I'm going to press enter and I'm going to write my greeting. So this is where you're going to put dear and then the name of your teacher. And then you're going to remember that punctuation right there of a comma. That's really important in letter writing. And I'm just going to put some spaces after that, and that kind of pushes it over to where I want it to be. Now, it was kind of a cloudy, oops, I don't know why that moved over on me, but I can fix it. It was kind of a cloudy weekend this weekend. So I decided to use my time well inside because we are planning a new garden for our backyard, which I'm really excited about. So I'm going to tell you all about the new garden that I'm planning for my backyard. Now, you're going to remember from last week that we talked about how adding details to our writing is so important. It makes it more interesting. And it tells the reader the person who's going to read my writing, which is your teacher, things that they might not know. Like when I say, I'm going to plant a garden, if I just say, I'm going to plant a garden, I know lots of things about that garden in my mind. Like I know the shape that it's going to be. I know what I'm going to put in the garden. But your teacher wouldn't know any of those things. They wouldn't know, well, is she planting flowers or is she planting fruit or is she planting vegetables? What kind of plants is she planting? What shape is it going to be? All those details that I know in my mind, I'm going to work hard to put it on the paper when I'm doing my writing. So let's get started. I know I like to have a good introduction sentence, so I'm going to write, this weekend I worked hard to plan my new garden. So now I said what I did. Now this is where I add all of my details about my garden. So I'm thinking, well, my reader doesn't know where my garden is. So I'm going to say, we are putting the garden, putting is a weird word for that. I'm going to say we are making a garden in my backyard. Okay, so now I can give so many more details about my garden. So you can see I'm looking over because I'm looking in my backyard right now thinking what I want to say. And I think I'm going to say maybe that it's going to be big and that it's going to be a rectangular shape. It will be a big rectangular garden. Now, I think I'm going to say all the kinds of things that I want to grow in my garden because those are really important details. We will grow a lot of vegetables. Ooh, this would be a great place to put a list of those vegetables, like squash. What else do I? Oh, green beans. We really like green beans in my house. And I want to grow tomatoes. Now, there's a few of you out there thinking, well, Mrs. Barnes, tomatoes are actually fruits. And you're right, but I use them like vegetables, so I'm going to put them in the vegetable list. I want you to notice right there that I put commas when I was making my list. That's what you do when you make lists. So I said squash, comma, green beans, comma, and tomatoes. Now, I think I'm going to say the next thing that we're going to grow. We will also grow herbs. Herbs are kind of like leaves that you can eat, like basil, dill, that's another kind of herb. And what else was I thinking about? Oh, and rosemary. I really like rosemary. It's another kind of herb. It's something that you can put in food to make it taste better, like a spice. Oh, and I'm not sure if we're going to plant this yet, but my husband thinks that my husband would really like to plant strawberries. So I'm going to put my husband, or you know his name by now. I'm just going to put Tim. Tim really wants to plant some strawberries. Wow, and now I want you to notice, second graders, all because I added details. I'm counting right now. Oops, it's hard to see, but there's a period. So that's one sentence, two sentences, three sentences, four sentences, five sentences, just because I added lots of details about one thing, about my garden. Now, I think I'm just going to put my ending sentence. So I'm thinking how excited I am if you can't tell. So I'm going to write, I am really excited to have a new, bigger garden. I said bigger because I'm comparing it to my old one. I already have a garden, but it's not as big as the one we're putting in. So I added lots of details to my writing. When I was making a list, I put in that punctuation called commas. I did that in a couple different places, you'll notice. Right there, right there. And now, think about the last thing that you do in a letter. Who remembers? That's right. I'm going to put the closing of my letter. So I'm going to write sincere. Oops, spelled that a little bit wrong. Sincerely. And then on the last line, I'm going to put Mrs. Barnes. I'm going to move that over a little bit more just because I think it looks better that way. There we go, second graders. I cannot wait to hear what you did over your weekend. And have a great day. See you later.